Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out LPC or Low Poly Cylinder by developer Vultra Islet. This is a game designed for the GB Jam 3, sponsored by Game Jolt. This is a game jam where developers were tasked with creating a Game Boy themed game where assets were all created during the duration of the jam, which was just over a week. Assets were to be created in resolution of 160 by 144 pixels and may only use 4 colors, so it's pretty strict. But also could be rather open to interpretation, because really it's mostly just the colors, the duration, and the pixels for the resolution that are really the limiting factors here. So I guess you can really go in any direction, any subgenre, any possibilities, as long as you stick to that stuff. So in this particular case, what we're going to be doing is running through an endless corridor filled with obstacles, and I know I've covered a couple games that are pretty similar to this one, but I thought this was a rather imaginative and addictive way of manifesting these things. It's got a bit of charm to it, I suppose. I mean, maybe it's a little bit derivative, but it's still pretty fun. So why don't we try it out? The goal here is, if we can get to 600 points, we've technically cleared the game, so that's something to keep in mind when we're playing through LPC. So we're going to press any key, and we are off. So we're going to be using our arrow keys to steer around. Hopefully the resolution being rather low is not too detrimental, but it definitely will be on the low side, and that's, you know, by design. So we've got crazy volume-looking slider things shooting out into space, we've got cubes, we've got arcs, and all of them are very colorful and cool-looking. And when we're dealing with such few colors, it's very important to have an interesting color palette, and I think that this color palette actually works very well, especially complementing the music that's going on. And, oh, almost crashed there. Came very, very close. If our perspective hits any of these obstacles, obviously we lose, and we get recorded at whatever our high score happens to be at the moment that we are crushed. That was a score of 122. So I'm thinking as I'm playing this, well, this seems like more than 4 colors. I'm guessing maybe just 4 colors at a time? I guess they weren't really very specific about that, were they, in the rules, so maybe it's still fine. Because right now, yeah, I'm counting. We've got that salmon, we've got the yellow, we've got the green, and then we've got that very, very dark blue happening outside of the field of vision, and then things sort of shift and gradate into other realms of color palettes, and they all work pretty well together. But it does definitely seem like there's more than 4 colors going on here. So again, not sure if that's bending the rules at all. Not that I honestly care all that much. I kind of look at these game jam competitions sort of like a jumping off point, because if the end result that comes out, whatever the creation might be, whether or not it sticks with the rules, you know, you still got something that came out of the other end of the whole experiment. So if it's fun, it's fun. It doesn't really matter in the scheme of things whether or not it lives up to whatever they asked. But it is also cool to see a bunch of limiting factors, just to see what people can work with. Ah, that's what happens if I break through those crescents, then that actually crushes all of the boxes on the screen at once. That's good to know. Not too likely that I'll be taking the chance of going through those all that often. This is very cool looking. Ah, crashed. That actually looked very much like a sort of a blacklight reactive room. And you know, this game reminded me a lot of something called Red Alarm, which, if you know what I'm talking about, props to you, because probably there's only going to be a handful of people that do, but it's actually a Virtual Boy game, believe it or not. And it's one that I owned a Virtual Boy, and I actually enjoyed that one quite a bit. It was one of the few titles that I thought actually used this platform to a reasonably good degree. And it had like a vector-based, you know, wireframe aesthetic, and everything was obviously red, because Virtual Boy and everything in Virtual Boy was red. And it was like a space shooter kind of shoot-'em-up thing with homing missiles. Kind of played like a Panzer Dragoon, but with a sci-fi aesthetic, although I guess you could argue that maybe Panzer Dragoon also has a sci-fi aesthetic, although I think it's probably more fantasy. Anyway, Tangent City here, as I fly through this crescent and destroy the competition. Yeah, it just sort of reminded me of that same thing, and it sort of made me long for something similar to that to work out again, because there haven't been a lot of games that have been sort of in that Star Fox subgenre of shooter, other than Star Fox, I suppose, and that. Or at least if there have been, I haven't really run into a lot of them. And, you know, maybe I just need to look harder. But, you know, if anybody's been looking, I suppose it's been me, wouldn't you say? So we've actually gotten a few color transitions in now. We've gotten to a very dark, mysterious world where everything seems to be very glowy, and I do appreciate this look. Oh, no! That was very much within my control, and I just kind of let that one slip away. We'll do one more run here. I really do enjoy LPC. It is quite addictive, and I want to see how far we can get. And I also want to see how crazy these obstacles get as we get further in. I appreciate that they give you just long enough for view radius to be able to see, or for draw distance to be able to see what's coming up. And there's also some nice little hints. The fact that you can see those little lines kind of strobing off in the distance gives you a good indication that something's about to happen. In this case, you know, you don't get a great indication because you're not really sure to what degree things are going to be moving. Oh my god, how did I avoid that? That was like certain doom there. But I guess to some degree, once you get to these same areas enough, you'll start to get a feel for like what to expect from each of these obstacles, and all of a sudden things won't be quite as ambivalent or strange or confusing. So, you know, I guess there's a small degree of memorization and pattern recognition going on here too. And when you pair that with good music and a very easy to play, you know, easy to pick up game, I should say, the fact that all we need is arrow keys for this makes it very simple, and I think just about anybody could jump into this, and provided you don't get motion sickness or something, you probably have a good time running down these corridors. I'd love to see something like this done with really, like, I don't want to say high budget, but like a really high production value, production style, where everything is just absolutely stunning to look at as you go through these corridors, and you can go through a ton of different environments and themes, different visual motifs, maybe art styles or something like that, and it could get just absolutely nuts. I'm picturing sort of like Lumines for first-person tunnel gliding, if that makes any sense, where the music sort of dictates how the visual style works, and then those things sort of go to complement each other. Oh my god, things got a little nuts there on that one. But the colors got very pretty as well. So we made it to 365, that's 1 point per day, and I'm kind of happy with that run. So that's going to be LPC. Go give it a try. It is free to play right in your browser. There will be a link in the description if you want to. Go ahead and give it a try and let me know what you think in the comments. If you can get to the mythical 600-point line, and I'm fairly confident I probably could if I gave it a few more shots. But let me know how things go for you, if you had a long journey to that, or if you got it fairly quickly. I'm kind of curious to know. And of course, pros and cons to this gameplay concept, as well as the idea of a Game Boy Jam. What do you think of that? Should I cover more games in it? Was the resolution too annoying for you, being kind of low? Usually that stuff doesn't bother me too much, but I kind of don't want to flood Indie Impressions with just very low resolution games. It starts to look like that's just, you know, sort of a visual theme that maybe is a little bit too singular. I kind of want to cover more diverse stuff than that. Anyway, that's going to be it for another day, guys. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like on it. Come back again tomorrow. New episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we'll see you back for another one then. So I will talk to you all soon. Later.